Now, these are not members of the Musicians' Union. This is Darth Vader, the villain from the film Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, who is our guest tonight, or at least the man beneath the mask is Dave Prowse. Later on, he'll be telling us about the seven-stone weakling who became an international weightlifting champion. Seven-stone weakling. We do have, however, members of the real Musicians' Union on the other side of the lawn there, and because they're in dispute with the BBC, they will be trying to disrupt the programme. Fortunately, we're always in such a state of permanent chaos, I never know when we're being disrupted and when we're not.
He's Darth Vader, he's Baron Frankenstein's monster, he's been one of the most fearsome figures in many horror films, and yet he's also the Green Cross Code Man. Coming out from behind his many terrifying masks is one of the nicest men you'd ever wish to meet, David Prowse. When I told my children that I wasn't going to be talking to Douglas Fairbanks tonight, that instead I was going to be talking to you, they were absolutely thrilled. They said, Darth Vader? Actually, one of them said Darth Vader and the other one said the Green Cross Man. Marvelous. Which do you prefer to be known as?
I like both, actually. And it's very interesting because when I became Darth Vader, or at least when the Star Wars film came out, I almost got the sack from the government because they thought that my image as Darth Vader would have a detrimental effect on my image as the Green Cross Code Man. But in fact, the reverse has been the case.
Well, I must say, you do look slightly different in both roles, to say the least. How did you get this amazing part in Star Wars?
Well, I'd had a long history of playing monsters.
Oh, I see.
I was playing Frankensteins, and I started at Casino Royale, then I went to The Horror of Frankenstein, then I went to Vampire Circus, then I finished up with doing a film called Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. And I think George Lucas had seen these pictures and wanted somebody very big and physical for the part in Star Wars. And when he saw me, I went up to the 20th Century Fox offices in London.
Right.
And he said, well, I've got two parts which I'd like you to consider. And I said, well, what are they? And he said, well, the first one's a character called Chewbacca. And I said, well, what's Chewbacca? And he said, well, it's like a hairy type gorilla that goes through the film on the side of the goodies. And I said, well, I don't fancy that very much, George. And I said, what's the other one? And he said, well, the other one's a character called Darth Vader, who's the big villain of the film. And I said, well, don't say any more, George, I'll take the villain's part. And that's how it all came about.
Ah, that's very interesting. Were you in acting long before that?
I actually came into the business in 1965.
I heard a rumour about when you were doing your first acting part, that you were in a pub, or you were asked to go to a pub in the East End. Would you like to tell me about that?
Yeah, I was, the very first job I did in the business was a play called Don't Let Summer Come.
Yes.
And whilst I was doing the play, I only had the very last part of the play. I was the finale. I played the part of Death, and all I had to do was go in and pick up Kenneth Griffith, carry him off stage, and then the curtain used to come down, and that was the end of the production, you see.
Yeah.
So I used to have between 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock free. And one day my agent contacted me and said, look, can you, do you want a little job? You can earn yourself 20 quid or something like this. And said, all you have to do is go to a pub in the Whitechapel Road. And he said, when you get there, you have to ask for a chap called Ronnie Kray. So I had no idea who Ronnie Kray was. And I went to the pub in the Whitechapel Road, and it was full of enormous, great big fellas. And they were all about my size, you see. And Ronnie Kray came up to me and said, I'd like to introduce you to my brother, and introduced me to Reggie Kray.
And you had no idea?
I had no idea. No, I had no idea who they were. No, and I stayed the evening in the pub and sort of ate and drank to my heart's content. About 10:30, I said, "Well, I'm very sorry, Mr. Kray, but I've got to go." And he said, "Well, it's been very nice having you. Thank you very much for coming." And off I went. I went back to the play and did my little bit. And it turned out that they were trying to frighten somebody in the pub.
Oh my God! It sounds like a television serial. Yeah. You're doing a television serial soon, aren't you?
I am actually. I'm in the middle of it now. Actually, it's a television serial called The Rose Medallion.
And what's that going to be about?
It's about a private inquiry agent. It's very seedy, run-down private inquiry agent, and his big, slow West Country cousin, which is me.
Oh, I see.
And it's really all about the search for a buried treasure in Sardinia, and we're recreating Sardinia in and around Cheddar area.
You've been very busy lately, though, haven't you? Because as a Green Cross man, aren't you bringing out a book on safety for children?
That's right. We have I decided, one of the things I do is I tour all over Great Britain talking to kids about road safety. But it's like a drop in the ocean when I go out to these schools. I do 2 schools per town. I've been to 100 different cities in Great Britain so far. Wow. So there's only 200 schools out of literally thousands in the country. So I decided I'd come out with a book on safety for kids. And it was originally intended as a road safety book, child pedestrian road safety. And then I decided to go into cycling proficiency as well. And then I invited a few of my friends in the business and to get involved. And we decided it was going to be a sort of a personality guide to road safety. And I was going to get some of my friends to dress up as policemen and policewomen and things like this, you see. And I then took it to a publisher, and the publisher said, well, why don't we go a bit further and go into safety in the home and safety at school? And I then, as I said, contacted all sorts of people, and we had a tremendous response, and we've now got people like Morecambe and Wise interested. They're in with me. Big Daddy, we're going to get involved. Henry Cooper, John Conte, Cliff Richard,
it
the
sounds
Goodies.
great.
It's going to be marvellous, and it's coming out in the middle of October.
It's a strange combination, though, isn't it? I mean, on one side, the Green Cross Card Man or Green Code Man, and on the other side, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I think that we have a clip of the new Star Wars movie here.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called The Empire Strikes Back.
And I'm sure you're absolutely terrific in it.
Thank you.
And we're going to see it right now.
The Force is with you.
Oh, we've lost it.
We've lost it.
I see. Well, we'll see it again in a minute. You know what I wanted to ask you?
Yeah.
What is women's reaction to you? Because, I mean, here you are. How tall are you?
6'6".
And you've always... You were a champion, weren't you? You were a champion bodybuilder.
British heavyweight weightlifting champion.
So, I mean, is women's reaction, do they come on to you very strong, or do they kind of walk the other way when they see you? Or, I mean, what is their reaction?
No, it gets different reactions, actually. And the funniest reaction of all is the reaction to Darth Vader, because I get I get an enormous amount of fan correspondence, primarily from America.
Yes.
And, in amongst all this correspondence, you get this really sort of pornographic content of women that write to you who I think have this big fixation about this big black character.
What, all in the black
all
cloak
in the
and
black,
everything?
and the black leather and
Wow.
everything else.
Now, he does sound like somebody I'd write about.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let me ask you this. If you are so kind of identified with that kind of a character, would you ever like to play a kind of good character,
Well,
a nice guy?
I'd love to. Actually, the character that I'm playing now in Rose Medallion.
He's a nice
he's
guy.
a lovely character. Yeah, he's like a Lenny character from Mice and Men.
What's this rumour I heard about you going around the country wearing a kilt?
Well, I did this for a while, actually. I think around the country. I went around the world.
Round the world in a
around the
kilt?
world in a kilt. Yeah, I retired. I was British heavyweight champion, 62, 63, 64. And then I retired, and I really didn't know what to do with myself. And a friend of mine rang me up from Scotland and said, have you ever thought of doing Highland Games, you see? So I said, well, no, I haven't. He said, well, how would you like to come up to Scotland and learn to toss the caber? So I went up to toss the caber.
What's a caber?
Well, the caber is like a telegraph pole.
Oh.
And it's about 20...
I see.
It's about 20 feet long and can weigh anything between 100 pounds and 150 pounds. And the object of the exercise is to toss it for straightness. Lots of people think you have to toss it for distance, but you actually toss it for straightness. And in other words, it has to go over and fall on end and fall what we call it 12 o'clock. And so I went up to Scotland and learned how to toss the caber. And then it became obvious that I wasn't going to earn any money at it, which was the intention originally, because I was going to try and get into the Highland Games. And I decided to save myself just for the one big event, which was the World Caber Tossing Championships, which they had at Hazelhead, or I think they still have actually, in Aberdeen. And as luck would have it, I went up there one year and came third in the World Championships. And straight from that, I got sponsored by McVitie's Biscuits.
Oh, I
and
see.
they decided,
natural.
to send me all
who
over
might
the world.
argue?
Yeah, they decided to send me all over the world, and I went
Wearing
to
your
places
kilt?
I went to places like Denmark, Sweden, Honolulu, San Francisco, New York, San Diego, back to San
Fantastic.
Francisco. Had
You
a
know what I'm
marvellous
going to
tour.
ask you, don't you?
Yeah.
What did you wear under your kilt?
Well, actually, it's compulsory.
What
to
is?
compete in the games.
It's compulsory, not two or
No,
two.
to compete in the games, you actually have to wear something under your kilt, or you have to wear some form of underpants or something like this under
Yes, I
your
mean,
kilt.
it could be
because the kilt
embarrassing, because you're a
flies up
very
when you
tall
go.
man. If you came across a very
Well,
short woman, I mean, you'd be in trouble.
I remember one year when I did compete at Hazelhead, it was absolutely, I don't know whether you've ever been to Aberdeen, but it's a freezing cold place.
Oh,
and
dear.
I wore tracksuit trousers underneath my kilt.
Rolled up,
and,
of course.
No, I had them right long down. And I was actually told by the officials, they sent 3 officials out to tell me to take my trousers off.
I love it. So let me ask you this. Is there going to be a sequel to Star Wars? I mean, The Empire Strikes Back?
We're actually going to do 7 more sequels. You see,
Yes.
Star Wars 1 was really Star Wars 4 in the sequence of 9. This gets a bit complicated.
Right.
The Empire Strikes Back, which is just now on general release, is number 5.
Yes.
The next one, which is we're going to do next year, probably late next year, is called The Revenge of the Jedi. That is number 6. Then George Lucas intends to go back and do 1, 2, 3.
So it could keep you
And then
busy
he'll
for
go
many
7,
years
8,
to
9.
come.
Well, I reckon, I mean, even if they kill Darth Vader off in the next one, which I sincerely hope they don't, I've still got at least 2 more to do after that. So I could be Darth Vader in for the next 10 years.
I think with any luck, we can see a piece now of The
Oh,
Empire
marvellous,
Strikes
yeah.
Back, which...
This is the part where we're having the laser duel
Oh, that's
with Luke
great
Skywalker.
fun.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
lovely. I want to see
You'll
that.
enjoy this.
Let's see if they've got it ready now.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
In case you're interested, there was actually 3 months rehearsals went into that fight.
Good
And the fight
God.
on screen is about 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
On screen, it
But
really
it
is a
looks
fascinating
terrific.
fight. Yeah.
I think there's a friend of yours trying to tell you something here.
Oh,
and he's not
R2,
playing
yeah.
music either.
R2D2, yeah.
That's really a marvellous machine.
It is actually, yeah.
How many of them-
Actually, there are two. There are two R2D2 units. One of which is the one which Kenny Baker goes in.
Yes.
And the other one is a totally remote-controlled R2D2 unit. It can do everything but rock. And it can't rock from side to side.
Oh,
and
I
it can't
thought you meant
stand up on
rock. I thought it danced.
And it can't stand up on tiptoes. And so when they want it to stand up on tiptoes or rock to side, they put
Yeah.
Kenny Baker inside.
Listen, didn't you train Superman to do some of his amazing stunts?
No, I didn't train him to do any of his stunts, but I built him up.
You
Actually,
built him
it
up?
was me.
Was he a 7-stone weakling?
No, not a 7 stone. He was 13. Actually, he was 13 stone when he came to me.
Yes.
And I tried to get the part of Superman myself, and it was no go because
You wanted
they
to play it?
I wanted
You really
to play it. Yeah.
fancied
Oh,
flying
I
around from those
fancied myself
buildings?
as Superman, most definitely. I got the glasses, and I got the navy blue suit. Yeah.
I bet you
And,
look great in the tights.
No, yeah, but it was because I wasn't an American. It was out, you see. So they
Yes.
eventually found Chris Reeve
Yes.
and rang me up one day and said, look, can you train him for us? And I said, well, what do you want him to look like? And they said, well, we want him to look like you. So I said, well, I'm about 19 stone and he's about 13 stone. And I said, well, how long have I got to do the job? And they said, well, 6 weeks. And I said, well, it's impossible. You can't do anything in 6 weeks. And in fact, we did.
Was he nice to work with?
Oh, super. Absolutely super. Worked very, very hard. And I got him from just over 13 stone to 15 stone 7 in 6 weeks.
That's very
Yeah.
good.
And he looked
I
great when he
understand
went
that you
into his
also
suit.
trained Edward Heath, our
Yes,
former
yes,
Prime
yes,
Minister.
Mr.
What did
Heath
you train
came-
him to do?
Well, no, he was going through a phase where he wanted to lose weight. I think he still wants to lose weight, but he
Yes.
was getting quite serious about losing weight, and he came into my gymnasium,
And he felt it was going to
actually,
improve his image.
not so much improve his image, but I think he was concerned about being unfit and being overweight.
Have you done anything for Margaret Thatcher?
Actually, I was funny enough. I was with Mrs. Thatcher only a couple of weeks ago because I went to 10 Downing Street to welcome a whole party of underprivileged children to the Trooping of the Colour.
Really?
And it was absolutely fantastic. And Mrs. Thatcher, Margaret Thatcher, was absolutely marvellous.
Well, I think she's a wonderful Prime Minister,
I think
actually.
she
I
is too,
admire her
yeah.
greatly. But what I would like your opinion of is what do you think about the Olympics? What do you think about our athletes?
Oh, I wish we weren't going. I think it's a crime that the government decides that we shouldn't go to the Olympics, and all the individual bodies turn around and say, well, thank you very much, but we're going to go anyway. And
Yes.
this particular Olympics is going to be nothing else but a propaganda machine for the communist regime, and I don't think we should go at all.
No, I
really
must say
don't
I
think we
agree
should
with
go.
you, but I wanted to get
I mean,
your
even
opinion
if I
as
was,
an athlete.
I mean, I can just imagine how all the athletes feel because, I mean, I trained for the Olympic Games when I was British weightlifting champion, trying to get selected to go to Tokyo,
Yes.
and I didn't get selected to go, although I'd qualified and I'd won everything and everything else. But I think, as I said, it's this business of the individual associations going against the wishes of the government, and that is what I'm up against.
I agree with you absolutely, because unless they kind of, get behind it and do what she wants them to do, it seems to weaken the whole position.
Of course.
And what
of
does
course
it mean
does.
if they win?
And then they make token gestures. And they say, well, we're not going to have the whole team parade and we're just going to have one man carrying a flag. I mean, all these are ridiculous, what I call token gestures, and they mean absolutely nothing.
So what's in your future now?
What's in my future? Well, I've got another Green Cross Code tour. I'm coming to Birmingham, actually, on the next Green Cross Code tour. So you'll see me up in Birmingham in September. Yeah, it goes from the middle of September until almost the end of October.
Yes.
Then the book comes out, and I've got a long tour with the book. Then I'm going to America to do my very first ever lead in an American film.
Oh, marvellous.
And so it goes on. I'm really tied up right through to the end of next year.
So it's going to be a very busy year and a very successful one, I hope.
I think so, yes.
Dave
yes.
Prowse, Darth Vader, it was lovely to talk to you.
Thank you, Jackie. Nice to talk
you.
to you.